So now that we're here, I wanted to, get back to it. I know a little bit about you. Oh yeah. Okay.
Hey, I'm still pretty young. Speak for yourself. Manny's new, and people are like, "Well, if you want to be with the young people," I'm like, "Go to Hillel." I'm like, "Forget that." Manny, I remember when you've arrived in life with a real job and like, it's time to join the adult world. Yeah. But Ann Arbor is a very rich and Jewish community for which we are very fortunate. So between Reform, Reconstructionist, Conservative, Orthodox, and other kinds of things happening, it's really a very vibrant Jewish community. And so we look forward to you traversing. We'll share. We're willing to share you. So,
It's got a good vibe already.
there you go. Well, the vibes continue with the service. Well, we may go a little faster than usual because I know I started a little late as I got technical things together. But let's keep the vibe going with Friday night. We're settling our souls down, getting ready for sunset. We're on page 10. We'll do the first and last verses of the Yedid Nefesh, which get us on our spiritual journey of the fact that tap into that part of you that is like a beautiful wild animal. A cat, a deer, a gazelle, whatever your wild Holy Spirit animal is inside of you, that's the part of your soul that's already connected to nature and therefore already directly connected to God. And that is a very good way to start getting your soul attuned for Shabbat, because it is a world of living in the present moment of beauty and blessing and appreciation and gratitude. And an animal like my cat this morning, the only world he knew was the world that was happening in that moment. And for which his belly being rubbed was a blessing. So let us connect with our animal spirit as we sing the first and last verse. Here we go. Yedid nefesh av harachaman mishoch avdach Ritzonach Yarutz Avdach Kemo Ayal Yishtachave Mul Hadara Yeravlo Yedidutach Inofetsu Vechol Ta'am Higalena Ufros Kavir Alayet Sukat Shelamach Ta'ir Eretz Migvodach Nagilav Nismechabach Maher Ahu Giva Moed V'chaneni Ki Me'olam Yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 da. Psalm 95 begins on page 11. Whatever you're carrying in from the week, that is weekday burden, put it down so you can enter our holy time with a quality of not being burdened. L'chu niranena l'Adonai Naria litzor yishenu nekatma fanav b'toda bizmirot narialo. We continue to the end of the psalm and with either the Hebrew or the English or the readings on the sides of the pages, especially the left-hand side, pages 11 through 12. Arba'im Shana Akut Bedor Omar Am Tohe Levavhem Behem lo yadu derachai. Sher nishpati v'api im yivon el menuchati. Page 13. Shiru ladonai shir chadash. Shiru ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru ladonai baruch shemo basru miyom liyom yeshuato. Sapru vagoyim kevodo bechol ha'amim niflota. Ki gadol Adonai umhulal me'od norahu al kol Elohim. Continue for the rest of 13 and 14, readings at the sides of the pages or the psalm itself. Livnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, v'amim b'emunato. For tonight, we're going to continue pages 15 through, sometimes I do a guided meditation here, and sometimes I do the Psalms. I'm going to do 15 through page 21. And what I'd like you to do is to choose. You can either do the Psalms themselves in Hebrew and English, or as I'd like to do on these pages, is to maybe peruse some of the readings on the left-hand side. Like just let yourself, you could even turn a couple of pages and let your finger fall on a Marge Percy poem or an alternative Hasidic poem or a psalm. So page 15 to 21, silently in your own way that's meaningful to you. We continue the service on page 22. I'm going to read from the poem of Solomon ibn Gebirah. You are the celestial light, innocent eyes see you, clouds of sin hide you. You are the hidden light of this world, revealed in visions, seen on God's mountain. You are the eternal light. The mind's eye searches and seeks, only an aspect ever seen, never all. And that brings us to Lecha Dodi on page 23. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el ham yuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila, L'cha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila, lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Mikdash melech melucha, Kumitzei mitachafecha, Rav lach shevet be'emek habacha, V'hu yachamol alayichem la, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabel. Page 25. V'hayu limshisa shosayich, V'raku kol mevalayich yasis, Alayich Elohayich, Himsos Chatan Akala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Yamin usmaol tifrotzi, V'et Adonai ta'aritzi, Ayarish ben partzi, V'nismecha v'nagila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Boi v'shalom aterepala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shabbat shalom. We've welcomed the spirit of Shabbat. We hope that spirit descends upon you, through you, and outside of you, and enfolding you in love on this Shabbat. Return to the Shabbat Psalm on page 27. Mizmor shir, shir liyom HaShabbat. Mizmor shir, shir liyom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon, lehagid b'boker chastecha, v'emunatcha b'leilot. Mizmor shir, shir liyom HaShabbat. Mizmor shir, shir liyom HaShabbat. Continue silently for the rest of the psalm. Tzadikata hamar yifrach, ke'erez balganon yiske shetulim, beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, odinuvon b'seva, Tishenim v'ra'nanim yihu lehagid, ki yashar Adonai tzuri lo havlatav. For those who want to continue, they can read the final psalm to themselves on the next page, on 29. But in preparation for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 30, I'm going to share the two poems for tonight. So the first, both are tonight from Yehuda Amichai. And of course, I'm reading them. I'll just read the English without the Hebrew. So the first poem I'm reading is a poem called Statistics. I also want to apologize that he wrote in a typical 20th century male poet way with male, always like men at the center as protagonists. So I'm going to ask you in your mind to adapt it to something more universal. Unfortunately, in the Lev Shalem, there are a lot of poems by Marsh Percy and others, and so we get a female perspective. And I wish things were more balanced. But so for here, I apologize on his behalf for the male tone, but I hope that we can adapt it to be universal. For every man in a rage, there are always 2 or 3 backpatters who will calm him. For every weeper, many more tear wipers. For every happy man, plenty of sad ones who want to warm themselves at his happiness. And every night, at least one man can't find his way home, or his home has moved to another place. And he runs around in the streets, superfluous. Once I was waiting with my little son at the station as an empty bus went by. My son said, "Look, a bus full of empty people." And another Yehuda Amichai poem, this one called "I Sleep Tonight to Your Memory." So for all of those who are saying Kaddish tonight, and for all of those who aren't saying Kaddish, this is a poem about someone that one loves who is no longer with us in body, but still with us in spirit. I sleep tonight to your memory. I sleep tonight to your memory, although the dream may well not be about you. You too have changed now from weighed to weighing. But we, the living, get lighter from day to day. Only our thrashing about grows, which makes the scales tremble in vain. I'm just going to read that last part because the metaphor is subtle. You too have changed now from weighed to weighing, but we, the living, we're getting weighed. And we get lighter from day to day, and our thrashing about just increases. And so the scales are trembling, in vain trying to weigh us. I don't know if you will find there what you sought with your dark eyes during your short life. But I can promise you that the search will go on, not like searches for survivors of a shipwreck that just cease after a few days or weeks. The summer is coming, and I must again decide how to exist. Whether to be like hardy, closed-up summer plants, or like a watermelon exploding with lost joy. So I say to you, rest in peace. Your soul is returned like a surprise gift. You improved it a lot since it was originally given to you. You improved it without knowing. And the angels will open up that beautiful wrapping and open up that beautiful present, and they will cry out in wonder to each other. So rest in peace now, for I know too well that even a broken clock has one moment of true grace every day. Beth Israel congregation remembers, among others, on this Shabbat, the yortzites of David Abramson, of Selma Apple, Irving Aronson, Sylvia Aronson, David Barr, Shmuel Carmi, Matthew David Coleman, Sonia Conway, Abe Duskovsky, Shoshana Epstein, Abraham Fair, Rose Feinerman, Ida Fleischer, Morris Fligiel, Isidore Friedman, Reva Gankin, Rabbi Herschel Garden, Jenny Garber, Henry Gershowitz, William Gilman, Leonard Ginsberg, Hetty Grunberger, Kaplan Malki, Monroe Zelig Hafter, Jack Knapp, Sam Lieber, Yetta Lerner, Clara Levy, Hetty Luxon, Ruth Annette Marcus, Jack Markowitz, Naomi Ruth Meislish, Gladys Miller, Evelyn Millman, Joseph Millman, Robin Musket, Elizabeth Penchasoff, Paul Phillips, here at the 1-year anniversary, Maxwell Pitkin, Martin Pitt, Marcel Pollack, Walter Reiner, Lillian Rothberg, Yetta Rush, Leslie Sellin, Robert Shapiro, Keith Siegel, Richard Singer, Ethel Siskin, Carol Trainer Stein, Fanny Stolarski, Emmanuel Sweetwine, Sylvian Tao, Wanda Jean Thomas, Francis Unger, Ralph Weil, Marcelo Vogel. As we continue to say Kaddish for Vivian Perlstein, Martin Lindenauer, Bonnie Rosenberg, Harlene Appelman, Lionel Finkelstein, Sidel Popinski, David Stein, Harvey Katz, Martin Warshaw, Gidon Hoffer, Lois Kluger, Beverly Bennett, Shulamit Weissman, Robert Haftel, Marilyn Krim, Robert Olenek, Ellen Monto, Richard Burke, Eva Kalani, and Susan Chapnick. For those who are saying Kaddish, please recite with me and stand on page 30. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrak kirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach v'elam ulamei al-mayam. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'alma imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromam. U'ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. And we all join Ellen standing on page 39B. Baruch hu Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. We may be seated and we continue on 39B ourselves as we are moving our way through the evening service. Asher kila masa b'yom hashvi'i. Ma'avir yom u'mevi laila, ma'avdil ben yom u'vein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamidim loch alenu le'olam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv haravim. Page 40, we prepare for Shema. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, v'shachvenu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayinu v'orech yaminu, v'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla. V'avakat asimer olamim, baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Continue silently, 41 and 42. Adonai Elohechem Ehem. Service continues on page 44. Malchuto b'ratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe u'Miriam b'nei Yisrael l'chadasha b'simcha haraba v'yamru laham mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh Norati lo tosef ele Malchutecha ra'u v'anecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu v'yamaru Adonai yimlo le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar kifadaha Adonai et Yaakov golem gazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael. And 45, let's read the Hashkivenu together in English tonight. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, disease, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our coming and going for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. 46. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheishet yamim Asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. We have the silent Amidah and then the conclusion of the service, following the Chatzi Kaddish on page 46. I sometimes share teaching here, but I'm going to put someone on the spot, probably the wrong thing to do ever. But so one of the many members of this congregation who has taught me is Ellen Abramson. She taught me in our conversations privately. She's taught us through her presentations on her book. She's taught us through her examples of service and her personal example in her life. And so when I do the Kaddish, different pieces of me plug into different parts of the Kaddish and the Amidah. But when I go from the Kaddish into the Amidah, and Kaddish is in the future tense, what are ways I grow? What is the ways I can feel transcendence and beauty in this world in the future? And it's so strange that for something that we use to remember love in the past and lessons learned in the past, that it's intended to the future. So Ellen, you've taught me a lot about that. And I was wondering, this being David's yahrzeit, or would you, first of all, how many years has it been?
6 years.
This is the 6th yahrzeit. Would you share something either in your heart to share, whether it could be anything at all, something you've been thinking today or yesterday, or something about David that you loved? Because I think or something that you've learned since, but on the 6th year, we share something with us. And I'll repeat it for those on Zoom.
And you said that poem, the second poem, you talked about, how in that poem, how the person had taken the soul received and feel it so very like that's makes me think about he wasn't perfect when he died. I mean, none of us are, and I know that he had more growing he wanted to do. But oh my God, what he did in that one life. And the other same poem, David used to say, even a broken clock is right. Twice a day.
You're right. What's up with that once? In Israel, they sleep through the second one. No, go ahead.
I guess.
It's the 24-hour one, right? Very good.
B.
Military time.
Of the clock is right twice a day, so that's something you set off, and so that he came through from.
Right, so I'm going to share just because I know you're streaming. It's like Ellen, how much she attributed to David that how much we grow our soul, improve our soul that we're given before we return it to its other home, and how much David did that, even though there's more growing he wanted to do, and all of us do. We're not perfect, but that's beautiful. And I think that one thing is when I daven the Amidah, and I get to, because we start off with people, my ancestors, I'm really part of a chain. The world didn't start with me. That's why Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'lo avotenu v'imotenu. We're part of a lineage. I'm part of an inheritance. I'm going to think about one person in my life. I don't know who it is yet, because I don't know who's going to come to me when I pray. I'm going to think about one person in my life who has taken their soul, the soul that they were given, sometimes the childhood they were given, and improved it. Thank you for that. Please rise for the Kaddish and then the silent Amidah. Yitkadav yikadash merava v'adi rakirte v'amlit malchute b'chaye honut yomecha uv'chayedecho Yisrael ba'agal v'zman kariv ve'imeru amen yehesh merava mevara me'amaya Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'tramam v'naseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmedu kudeshav v'hu le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata tushbehata v'nechemata dami ran b'yama v'imer 47 to 52 in your language of your choice, or readings, or just closing your eyes and connecting to the prayer you should be having. Yikadav Yikadash Merabah Biamadi Prakute Biamlich Machute Bechayech Hanukam Bechayech Robet Yisrael Bagalav Ismagari V'imeru Amen Yehesh Merabah Mevara Li'alam Olam Me'amaya Yiparach Vishtabach Vipar Vitrama Binase Vitadar Vitala Vitala Shmir Kudashar Le'ela Min Kol Berchatav Shirata Tishkatav Nechamata Damiram Be'ama V'imeru Tid Kabbalat Saloton Levaton Decho Yisrael Kol Dama Von Devishmaya V'imeru Yesh Amar Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imeru Oseh Shalom B'mromav V'yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imeru Amen. Please rise for Aleinu, page 56. Aleinu l'shaveh l'adon ha'kol l'te'teru l'utzereshi shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot ve'lo samanu mishpat ha'adamah shelo samkakenu kahem ve'gorenu k'kol ha'adamah Hakadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Notach Shamayim V'yoseh Haaretz U'Moshe Yekar B'Shemima U'Shrinatu Zo V'Gol Ve'Medromim Hu Eloheinu Eloheinu Emet Malkeinu Et Mesulato Katatu V'Torah V'Yadata Hayom V'Hashevot V'Levavech Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim V'Shamayim Imam V'Yalvaretz Mitacham Elohim. Hakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'em kol ha'aretz v'yomahu v'yomahu. We may be seated except for those reciting Mourner's Kaddish tonight. Mourner's Kaddish, page 58. Yikadal Yikadash Merabah Bialma Divrach Kirute Viamlich Mafute Bechayechon Uvyomechon Uvechaye Bechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Ubizman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehesh Merabah Mevarach Le'olam Lamel Maya Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitala shmei d'kudusha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata v'shbechata v'nechemata v'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu v'al Yisrael. Amen. May their memories continue to bring blessings to this world, as they clearly do. A couple of brief announcements for tonight, and we'll continue with Shabbat. Let's see if I have them right here, which is that this Sunday, for those who relates to, I'll be continuing my series on Shalom with their inner voices, raising children with more God and less anxiety. That'll be actually from 10 a.m. to noon on Sunday. From 10 to 11, I'm going to do a makeup session for people who missed either of the first two sessions. And then from 11 to 12, Ethan Cross will be presenting from his book Chatter, and I'll be like interviewing him. So it'll be a question and answer format where I ask him questions relating to the teachings that I've been doing in the course. and he answers based on the book Chatter, which I talked about on Yom Kippur in my sermon. So that will be here in the large social hall. Talmud study with Rabbi Daberson on Zoom on Monday. And then we have Passover coming up, as you probably know. There are all kinds of things going. A huge email is going out on Sunday, which we've been working very carefully on, which has a ton of stuff. Programming, resources, whatever. Some of the things you'll find is that on Sunday, March 26th, we'll do Seder songs with Cantor Devora. She is one of the teachers in our religious school. She will lead a session for those who want to learn the traditional Pesach songs. So for those who are like, I always sit there and listen during Chad Gadya because I'm not exactly sure how to. We will practice. It'll be like a jam session of honing our skills for the Seder song so we can sing with full-throated voice and maybe learn one we didn't learn before. Passover Project is back. So Beth Israel has our long tradition of ensuring that all members have a place to go during Passover for the first and second Seders. We need to do better because over the pandemic, I can understand it because I'm included. I was not having people to my Seder because we were still highly protective. And while we are still highly protective, we're asking that this tradition faltered because we were all at different places in terms of our permeability and our boundaries. So if you are interested in going to someone else's Seder or you're interested in hosting, please let's bring the tradition back. Let Beth Israel know. And our new director of engagement, Barb, will be facilitating it. So now we have someone to help lead the project, and you can email her and her email addresses will be in all of the emails. There are other things coming up. I'll be leading a session on, I've led it before, but it's been several years, how to do a great Seder. And if you think I do great Seders, then you can come. If you think I do lousy Seders, I'd skip. But I'm going to give you my tips for the gearing of my Seders is more toward like having fun and not being always so serious. So I have serious Seders, but I also have lighter Seders. So my tips tend to be toward it. If you don't want to be told it's okay to skip parts, if you want to come and tell the rabbi it's not okay, because my Seder is 4 hours long and we do every page, don't come because I'm going to tell you to skip parts so that you can focus on some parts over others. So I'll do a session. And there are other things coming up and there are other things in the email, so pay attention to that. Tomorrow we have a double bat mitzvah. We have a benot mitzvah. And so I just want you to be prepared that we'll have lots. We're looking forward to celebrating the Wright sisters because they are not twins. So this is one of those quiz questions, which is, how is it that we're having a double bat mitzvah with sisters who are not twins? And the answer is the pandemic. So so we have interesting two sisters of quite varying ages, and I'm really looking forward. I've been working with them, so their intersection, and it's really sweet. They're like, is it proper that one does one prayer and one does another prayer? Because there's a whole thing in Judaism, maybe you shouldn't do two prayers. Two people doing the same prayer, leading it. And I said, if you ask me, I want to hear you both do it together because I don't want to see back and forth. So they're doing a lot of it together. And I think that's going to be really cool. Harvey, please. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't. I'm so glad that Rabbi Eric Oshman is coming. And it is the 30th. With a lunch and learn, there's also like a bit of a fundraiser going on, which I want people to be aware of. And I think that Rabbi Asherman comes here almost every year in the past, although every 2 years he would come. And we've been kind of postponed with pandemic, but I think that his message is more true than ever and important to hear and participate in. And for those, some people have asked me, I don't have any false grandiosity about how many people listen to my sermons, but several people have asked me for a copy of my sermon from last week because it was in sympathy with Rabbi Asherman. It was about the Israeli government. And if anyone's interested, it is on the YouTube website. So on YouTube, you can see just the sermon by itself. I don't have it fully written out because much of it was extemporaneous. But if you're interested in it, it's there, and it's also on my podcast. And if you think that criticizing the government of Israel is the really, really wrong thing to do ever, then please don't listen to my sermon. Please just move along. And I never said anything in the first place. So with that, closing songs tonight, why don't we just finish with Shalom Aleichem? Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat shalom. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom.
Manny, thanks so much for coming.